you know, excuse mind you, doing a little walking, and there was a bit of saying, and back in the days, I know a lot of people. I don't know if the new generation heard this, but there used to be a saying to say never," And I was wondering, I said, Lord, what is this about? Uh, for you to put that, on my mind like that, and to talk about it. Never say never. Well, one thing about it that I definitely, let's see, you know, you know, sometimes people say, "Well, I ain't gonna never do that. I ain't gonna never do what she did. I ain't gonna never do what he done. I ain't gonna never do that. I ain't gonna never do this. Not that right there." And one time, in your life, you find yourself saying it, excuse me, or doing it, and you wonder. I remember saying that I never do this. And you remember, he said, "Well, I've said this. I said I never do this." You know, when you, let's see here. Let me give you a good scenario. There's many good scenarios when it comes down to the flesh. Like, say, for instance, um, if a person they drink something hot, and it's real hot, and they know it's hot, but they drink it anyway, and they burn their lip, they burn their tongue. So now it's burnt. They have the same drink in their hand. They wait a few minutes. They try to blow it, and they let their tongue and their lip calm down. So they go about drinking the hot beverage. In their mind, they're thinking that, okay, it cooled down some for me to drink it now. And now they drink it, and their tongue was seared because of the heat. That's like the flesh. It's the same thing. It can be seared with problems, with troubles, and a person finds themselves doing the same thing over again. They find themselves doing things that they said they wouldn't do, but something seared them to lead them up to it. The flesh, well, now let's break it down. What is the flesh? The flesh is where your deeds, which is your character, your action, your emotions. And in the world that we live in, it gets cold in certain parts of the world, and people know to buy jackets or to come out with jackets or sweaters. In another part of the world, it stays hot. People wear shorts and short sleeve shirts year round. Sometimes people do wear long sleeve because of the heat. And you notice that, if a person moves from one climate to another part of the world, and they say, wow, I'm used to staying in the snow. Now I'm living down here in Miami or LA where the sun is out all the time. I got to get used to this. Someone moves north where it snows a lot, and they from LA or Miami, and they say, well, I got to get used to this. And most of the time, when people stays in those places that they're not used to, they get used to it. Almost like being seared seared with the climates or the weather. So they're getting used to it. So the flesh can get used to things. Things like living in a place where people say, well, you have to protect yourself. You have to watch out for yourself. Some people have weapons to help root off intruders or criminals. So when you live a life that you have to protect yourself and you have to watch over your loved ones, or you have to make sure that the kids make sure they put on the right clothes when they're going out, or you have to put on the right clothes when you're going out. If you notice, you live in a world which you have to adapt to changing. You have to adapt to changing. In the spirit realm, there is another place that you have to adapt in your spiritual life, in your spiritual walk with God. It's amazing that in the spirit realm, the deeds are different. The deeds are different, which means that there are deeds of character, which is after Christ, that teaches us to have a character that is totally different than the deeds that we're used to. Now, the flesh still lives in the world. So you go through a mental state where that you say, well, this person is bothering me and I need to straighten this person up. And the deeds that is telling you this are the deeds of the world, which means your emotions. You are feeling threatened. You are feeling bad or remorse, or this person is bothering you. You're feeling like you need to protect yourself, defend yourself. In the spirit realm, you're taught about the deeds of surrendering. The deeds where that God becomes your protection. God becomes your source. God is the one who shapes your character. God teaches you not to revenge. God teaches you not to fight back. And those deeds can be foreign. They can be foreign to you. They can be foreign to you. And you can actually feel helpless being a Christian, being a believer. And if you feel helpless and you feel like that, that means that you don't understand the power of God. You don't understand the purpose of God, the will of God when dealing with this world and dealing with people, dealing with places, dealing with things in this world. Now, Jesus is the most powerful example of a child of God when it begins to allow the examples of Christ's life to be instruction, an instruction of understanding. When Jesus dealt with people who wanted to kill him, when Jesus dealt with people who talked about him, when Jesus dealt with people when it came down to taxes and money and and also having a traitor traitor close to him, or people who didn't understand him, Jesus dealt with that, but it's a way he dealt with it. It's a certain way that Jesus dealt with this world and dealt with people and dealt with places and things. If you notice, people are being provoked in this world to revenge, to fight back, to talk back, to offend themselves, and it's causing harm. It's causing shame. It's causing a lot of drama. Now, if you knew the way of Christ, then you would see that Christ wasn't a person that was weak. He wasn't a person that was weak. He wasn't a person that ran from those who tried to hurt him or talk about him. Jesus was led by the Spirit. I'm going to say it again. Jesus was led by the Spirit all the time in this world. The children of God supposed to be led by the Spirit. When there's altercation, where there's problems, where there's places, things, or confusion, you must be led by the Spirit. Now, to be led by the Spirit, some people think by them being a child of God, they are obligated to just out of their mind, out of their heart, out of their emotions, to think in the way that is right and say, God is leading me. That is not the way Christ done that. That's not the way Christ done that. Christ didn't just out of his mind, out of his heart, just say God is leading me. He just, you gotta understand, you gotta understand the flesh has its own emotions in this world. The flesh has its own way of viewing things. Why the flesh? Why is I'm saying the flesh? Well, what about if I tell you your mind? In your mind, in this world that you grew up in, that you were born in, that you're taught in, that you have done everything in, your mind knows stop, go, ABC, 1, 2, 3. Your mind knows things according to this world. Your mind knows if a person is trying to talk crazy, what you need to say back to them or her or whatever. Your mind knows these things. But there is a mind of Christ. There's a mind of Christ. There is a mind of Christ. Some people think that the mind of Christ is a person who changes their mind or changes the way they're talking or the way they're viewing things. They think that's the mind of Christ. The mind of Christ is not where you changes it. It's not where you changes your mind. The mind of Christ is where God is revealing to you that that you are born again and you have the mind of Christ. I'm gonna say it again. The mind of Christ in you is revealed to you. It's not that you say, well, I'm not gonna cuss today. I'm gonna try not to cuss today. That's your mind. You're not pleasing God because you said what you're not going to do. No, you have to come to the place where that God is revealing to you that if you are saved, that you have the mind of Christ, and you want God to reveal to you this mind that you have. You want God to reveal the character that he had put in you, the new heart, the new walk, the new talk. You want God to reveal this to you. You want him to reveal this to you. You want God to reveal this to you. If God is not revealing this to you, guess what'll happen? If the wrong person says something to you, you're going to latch out. And then now you and the person might be fighting. Somebody might take out a knife. Somebody take out a gun, all over some potato chips, all over a parking space, all over being in line and somebody cuts you and they cut in front of you. And the first thing you think in your mind, you say, these people cutting in front of me. And then you might say, well, let me do what Jesus do. And you might think that was because it was popular to think what Jesus would do. And you might think that was popular, but it wasn't. That shouldn't ever have been popular. Why? It's because it's not thinking what Jesus would do. You have to seek God what he has changed in you. He's changed in you that you may do what Jesus do or would do. You must seek God. You must seek God and what he has done. I mean, if you go to Ephesians chapter 1, you read chapter 1, the fullness of God is in you. That's not something that should be lightly looked at, or lightly understood, because there's I mean, it's quite natural, and it makes sense, and it's logical that you are born again. You are born again. God, he took out the stony heart and put the fleshy heart in you, which means the ways of Christ. The ways of Christ in the world, which means the word became flesh. So when God said he put a new heart in you, he put the spirit in you, a heart of spirit, where the word becomes flesh. The word becomes flesh. How do the word become flesh? Somebody trying to kill you, and you've been in the presence of God. Somebody trying to kill you or talk crazy to you. You will receive the voice of God speaking in you, and speaking through about the matter at that moment. The proof is when God told the disciple, he said, do not premeditate in what you're going to say. He said, go, and he says, your Father that is in you will speak at that time. You must dwell in the presence. You must learn about the presence. You must learn about who you really are according to Jesus' words and action. It's important. It's very important. It's very important. It's the most beautiful thing. You can play church, you can play Christian, you can play believer. All it's doing, all the false stuff, all the false belief is coming out. Listen to what I'm saying. You can play church, you can play a believer, you can play a Christian, or you can do dab. It's all coming out, no matter what. It's going to come out. But when you begin to spend time with Christ, when you begin to spend time in that presence of God, that comes out. That comes out. You need for that to come out into your world, so that you may see God's world, that you may experience God's world that you live in, that you can live in the presence of God upon this earth, among so many people who don't care nothing about Jesus, who care nothing about truth. They care nothing about Jesus. They care nothing about change. They thinking about money changes things. And believe me, you might not believe this, but they know, those who got money, they know money don't changes things. It don't changes things. You might can change a car. You might can change some clothes. You might can change the house. You might can change your friends, but it don't truly change anything. It really don't. Because whatever you change with money, do you understand? Whatever you can change with money, it will not change the character of you. You might say, well, it does change my character, make me feel like I'm rich. It makes me feel bold. It makes me feel like a boss. That's nothing. Money changed that. If money changed to make you feel like a boss, if money changed to make you feel like you rich, if money changed you on the outside to make you seem like you're important, that's nothing. That's nothing. I mean, you can't even die with that. You can get angry like the next person. You can get frustrated like the next person. You can be oppressed like the next person. You can get cancer. You can go and you can get a cold just like the next person. No matter how much money, how much money you got, you can get sick like the next person. Now, if you got money to stop all that, you can stop wars, you can stop poverty, you can stop cancer and uh, old timers. You can sickness and uh, uh, abuse of children. When you got power to stop those things, you're a boss. You're a boss. If you can stop every woman from being raped, every man from being raped, if you can stop every disease that come out before they come out, you're a boss. If you can stop oppression and worriness, you're a boss. It ain't not one person as rich as they are can stop these things in their own life. Not one person. Only God heals. God is the only boss. God is the only boss. And everything on the earth, everything on the earth that you might have papers to, God owns it. He proves it because when you leave here, even if you pass it on, it's still gonna be here. And when you leave it to somebody else, it's still gonna be here. You know what that means? God has the title deeds to everything on the earth. Because no one can, wherever they at when they leave here, they cannot all of a sudden show up and say, that's my house, that's my money, that's my car. You can't come back. You cannot come back. And you know what? The most hurting thing it is to be rich and to be dying. And you got all the money in the world and you dying. You can't stop being old. You can't stop a heart attack. And if you are dying and you rich, to me, you have to really become so depressed because you're a billionaire and you can't stop the cancer from spreading. You can have them, you can spend all the money you can while them taking out lungs and cutting you up. There's so many rich people been cut up. They've been cut up inside, cut up outside, trying to live out their money. When you can see a neighborhood, or when you're watching, you seeing some people do it today, but they only do it to a few people. Maybe they got a reason why and stuff like that. But you know, like all of a sudden, you know, a lot of people are cut off, you know, getting substance and stuff like that. And you know, I don't never talk about the negative people because we already know in the world there are negative people that they would take from you. They wouldn't do nothing. They want the substance easy. They want the government funds and they want the Medicaid. You know, if they can actually trick people to get it, trick the government to get it and stuff. I'm not talking about those people. But what about those who are in the shelters that you actually can go down there or find out, you know, or do research on people And a lot of people have money to do research on people to see if they are for real or not. Man, there is so much money in the United States. Like I say now, I'm not talking about the negative people. There should be more funds, especially for wages. There should be more wages for people um, in certain states. It's amazing that you can watch social media and they'll tell you, so well, you must be making 50K a year to live over here, or you must make 100K to live in this state. And we're talking about United States now. But then when you go and if you do a research of the jobs that is in that state, do they provide the jobs according to the racial of their state? Do they apply, like, say for instance, at least 70% or 80% of the jobs, in that state? The reason why I'm saying this is that you can never say never where you end up at. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or whatever. You can never say never where you can end up at. But when you as a child of God, and if you're not a child of God, that means that you must be interested, and God must be dealing with you to be on here listening to me. God is doing something in your heart. God is doing something in your life. But if you are a child of God, even though these things are made by man and they are in places, there are all these things that is going on, you have to understand that God has a powerful instruction for your life. God has a powerful instructions. Not just teachings, not just a prophetic word. You need instructions. God has instructions. Let me say this again. I was reading today about Elijah. And it's amazing because Elijah, God used him to give out instructions so powerful. And it's amazing how when people do not do those instructions, something bad happens. And I was reading, and I was like, he had a servant, and the people came, and there was a king. Well, you can say a king, and 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 I probably put the description in this later, so you can go to it, because you hear me talking about it, and I'm not bringing up the scriptures or bringing up names, words that is entitled to that chapter. But what I wanted to say is that um, people would seek Elijah out because they heard that he does powerful miracles, but they knew he was a man of God. They call him the man of God. And in this chapter, um, there was people that was looking for him, and they was looking for him, and they wanted to give him silver and gold and clothes because they wanted some instructions. And when they went to Elijah, like I said, I put the insert in this later, so you can go back and you can look into the insert and you can read it yourself. So um, so Elijah, he said that, don't give me anything. They were trying to give him silver and they're trying to give him gold and clothes. He said no. And you might say, well, he probably don't receive things from prophecy. No, he don't receive things from prophecy. He don't receive prophecy. When God tells him to receive something, God tells him to receive something. Do you understand? The instructions of God is so precise. So God gave a word to them, and they left. Elijah had a servant. I guess you can say another prophet, a servant. Well, this servant chased down this king, these people, because they wanted to give Elijah silver. And so they chased down this king without Elijah knowing, and asked the king to give them the clothes and the silver and the gold. And they took two clothes, and I forgot how much silver and gold that they took for themselves. And so Elijah heard about this, that they took this, and leprosy fell upon them. Leprosy fell upon them. We live in a time that, if you notice, when you see politicians talking, having speeches, lectures, they're giving out instructions in this world, like the traffic, if I'm pronouncing that right, for the goods to come from different continents or countries into the United States. And then also in other countries, they're doing that in other countries because different things and stuff. But if you notice, though, they are giving out instructions. They're giving out instructions. They tell you what's going to happen in the world, in your state, in your country. They telling you the instructions, which means the instructions is that what you must abide by. They tell you if you don't abide by their instructions, what's going to happen. People vote for certain people to be in office because they want certain instructions to be implemented in the world, or implemented in their state or in their country, and they want people to abide by these instructions. And some people feel like they shouldn't abide by instructions, and you find those people who are forced to boycott in many ways because of the instructions. And what I'm trying to show you is that we live by instructions, some way or some fashion, some way. We live by instructions. But if you, as a Christian, as a child of God, can desire to get closer, that he may reveal his instructions. When they wanted to kill Jesus, the higher ups was looking for him. Jesus didn't walk through no wall or nothing like that. He didn't turn invisible on them. He was at the feast. They was there waiting on him first, and when he came to the feast, he was talking, and because he had went to the temple, and they said the person. This is what they said in the narrator, where the people was thinking and talking. They said the person that they seek to apprehend, they're not apprehending him. Why? Why? When Peter now was in prison and the prison opened up because of an angel. Why? When the people were fed, the 5,000 plus were fed from a few fish and loaves, how could that be? Do God lives in our life, in our hearts, to this very day on those same aspects, those same points of Jesus? Is he the same God? Is he the same God that was in Jesus and he's in our heart? So if he's the same God that was in Jesus and he's in our heart, what would bring us to this place where that we will execute divine instructions? Jesus said to the devil, he says, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So that means that we must seek God that he may become so close and closer to our lives. We must become closer to God. That his voice may be so keen in our life. Why? Because his voice has divine, precise instructions. Think about this. Meditate over this. God bless you.